What up? What up? What up, Tent Hut? It is Will and myself. We are taking over today. Jose couldn't make it to the show today, but we're taking over. I just got back from the LAPD museum, so stay tuned for next week. We're gonna be having the actual paranormal show. So stay tuned for that. Other than that, just a quick thing for those that have been reaching out to me on DM. Hey, thank you so much, and just subscribing to our channel, just giving us a lot of a push. The more we get more subscribers, the more the analytics open, the more we can help more veterans, by pushing out resources. Will, you got anything?
Yeah, where's the intro, bro? What happened?
We'll get the intro in, so I wanted to make it a change. So today we have a awesome guest.
No. I'm talking about our intro.
What do you mean our intro?
Yeah, you didn't start the intro, man. I want to see.
Oh, okay. Hold on. Let me add it. Oh, okay. Let me add it right now.
Do it right now. We're gonna
I'm gonna do it right now.
We're starting over.
All right, guys. Peace. What up? Okay, this is official.
See, it's official, man.
It's official. We gotta have the intro. Will got a little bother right there, man. So really quick, man. I just want to say, we have a special guest, and I guess he's a good friend of mine because this guy has been there for me since day one when I needed help. So that's why I was like, Cory, we gotta get you in the show, man. So a special guest is Cory. And he has this is a go-to guy when it comes to resources, so Cory is all yours. I don't know, Will, before we start, is anything you wanted to add? I know you wanted to say something.
No.
Oh, okay, I caught that wrong.
Get our intro in there, man.
Cory, tell us a little bit about yourself, man. Salud. Oh yeah,
salud.
Sorry, yeah, salud.
I got the wine glass because I didn't do dishes yet. I'll still do it. That was a nice intro, by the way. I like it.
Oh, thank you.
Right.
Yeah. So it's a pleasure seeing you again, Pedro, reconnecting with you. And then I got a chance to meet Dr. Will also, which definitely a pleasure to meet. One smart guy right there. Very smart guy. Yeah. And so my background is I'm a Navy guy. Used to be a gunner's mate. Then after being a gunner's mate, I got out, and then 9/11 happened. Then got some college under my belt, got a little bit of education, got the 2-year degree, and then I ended up going back into the military after 9/11, and I ended up going in for medical. I ended up being a corpsman. Two completely different experiences. So, and then I ended up getting out in 2006, 2 deployments, and then I got into the reserves after. Got banged up a little bit, but nothing crazy, nothing that we would say. Yeah. There's the individuals out there that got some really bad injuries. So you know how it is. We just kind of suck it up and move on, which is probably part of this mental health we'll be talking about today. And I also seen the episode when you guys were talking about mental health, and it was a really good perspective, especially with Will's back injury and some of the things you went through, Pedro. So, with that being said, I, got out, had a very difficult transition, like most veterans, just made a lot of really bad choices, failed marriage, wasn't the best father, turned to a few things that really didn't help me out, had some really bad coping mechanisms, just really had a difficult transition, getting into fights and putting myself in really bad positions, and ended up going to jail, first time ever, ending up in Santa Ana, Maine, and then eventually going through Theo Lacey, and, even going through the whole Veterans Treatment Court, Veterans Combat Court, stuff like that. pretty crazy process. And but I was actually getting educated at that time too, because I was learning things, So now that I look back on it, all these difficulties of hitting rock bottom, I was getting an education there too, and learning, which I apply now towards the work I do in the community. And at one time, just off one incident, I copped up some pretty good charges, which one was even like a strike case, considered a strike. Well, it was a strike case in California. And then I just went through this whole process where I had to go get counseling. I had to go through the process. I had to use the VA. At that time, I didn't know about other resources until after. And then eventually the vet center turned out to be a really good resource for me. Mm-hmm. And then I just went through the whole process and learned some soft skills. And because that's one big thing, is learning soft skills. And Pedro, you remember this when we had went through that. That was huge for me, especially coming out of the military and being very direct with people. It's not always a good communication, and people, it's different when we were talking to each other, but when we're out here, and communicating with people, whether it's family or friends, it doesn't always go well. And it's not like we mean bad, but it's just the way that it's the community, it's the culture that we in. Yeah. How did I?
Cross. Like sometimes how we come across it just.
I think too direct. So some people say like we're too direct. We're not sensitive. Not empathetic. Those are the words that I heard quite a bit in my history. And so I really had to work on all those, and then eventually I just started to get it together. And it's weird because even when I was going through the transition, I started working with veterans even when I was going through the transition, because that battle buddy mentality is just, it really helps a lot, because that was my support system at the time. And eventually I got it together and, got some support, got some letters of character, and went through the process. And it took a few years. And then eventually I got all the charges dismissed and expunged, which was very rare. And that's why I got invited to the reentry area and working with vets. And so it's, sometimes I don't know if you guys, what you guys ask yourself, but sometimes it's like, I don't know how I made it through, but I did, And so now I'm just kind of giving back and really trying to help the community. I think that's where it starts. So, and it's not just my job. I do much more. There's a lot of volunteer work I do too. That's very important.
Me and Jose last week, we talked about, going to those dark places and, ending up in a dark hole on your own. Definitely, encounters with the law do happen. But you know what? Something I want to talk about, you brought up, is that so you got in trouble, you went through the court system, and you started learning some stuff, and it sometimes plays the role of where we end up. Because I mean, what you're doing now is phenomenal. I mean, and you're working with that entity, right? You're working with individuals that are incarcerated. So tell us about that your whole project that you're working within the jail system.
So this is where volunteering really comes in. So what ended up happening is during my transition, I met a few individuals, and they were some pretty high officials in the educational system. So I ended up meeting a guy named Jeff. I think his last name's Henderson, and another lady named Kathy. And I was going to the colleges and talking about with human services and sociology, people that were getting into the behavioral sciences, and they would always have somebody come in and talk about military and veterans and benefits. Yeah. And because a lot of people wanted to go and work in that field. So I used to volunteer my time and just go there and speak for 2 hours to a class every semester. I did that for a few years. Well, these two individuals ended up going to working for the correctional system at the jail, and they were really high in services. And they ended up going there, and then they knew about my journey, my background, and the public speaking, and that whole transition. And they're like, they were developing this program. They said, you should really reach out to Cory. He's been there, he's done that, he's been in the system, he's cleaned his record up. He works currently with veterans, and he's been working with different populations, and he knows that whole soft skills and cleaning up your record, what the courts are looking for when you try to go for expungement dismissals, treatment programs. And so I got handpicked by this guy Dominic, and he pretty much runs the show with you know, the services that are going out at the jail. So I got invited to this meeting, and there was like 50 people there because everybody wanted to participate and get involved. And Dr. Will, we talked about this when we were eating that.
Yeah.
A lot of lip service. So, you know, Dominic, you know, everybody wanted to get involved with this project. This is a big project. There's going to be a lot of PR involved. A lot of nonprofits want to get involved. You know, some people meant well, and some people had their own agendas. So with us, when we work with vets, sometimes we get very protective, and we just want what's best for the veterans. And I sat down with Dominic, and he pretty much just said, I want you just to listen. Just sit down and listen, and then let him speak for a while, observe everything, and then let me know, write it down on paper what you think. I was really amazed at how much he really trusted in me, and they had everybody. I mean, they had so many nonprofits in there. They had the VA in there. There was politicians in there, political reps. Like, this was like a big deal. Yeah. And he was looking at me, and I felt so honored. Like, it's like all these people seemed above my pay grade at the time, you know, little old me. But the experience counts for a lot because I've been there. So they created that Humvee unit, which is a unit, you know, housed for military veterans. They call it the Humvee. And yeah, so I started giving him feedback and writing it on paper. I said, I don't think this is a good fit based on this, but it's your call. I just gave him the best feedback that I can give, but I was trying to be open-minded about it. And but pretty much where it stands now, over a long period of time, or shall I say maybe the last 2.5 years, I've only really trusted in one person to come in with me, and that's because of the substance and alcohol abuse and the access to financial assistance. So I currently work with a young lady named Jade Smith out of the Tierney Center, and she's the real deal. She's the real deal. She is seasoned in a bunch of different areas, housing. I mean, the areas like when people are like coming out of the jail or that we would meet in the street, she can talk about housing, substance and alcohol abuse. She knows the reentry. She's also a reentry person herself. So she knows that stuff really, really good. So she taught me the housing, and I taught her a lot of the veteran stuff, and we put our heads together. And then at one point, remember, I was running the housing unit for the steering committee, the housing collaboration, where we were working with the VA and every nonprofit. We had about 40 agencies in that group. And so I was the chair and she was the co-chair. And then so we also went in and ran the Humvee unit, which really turned out to be good. We love it. We went today actually, and we've seen about 5 veterans, including, unfortunately, 2 that are charged with murder right now. Oh, and so, yeah, there's not really much we can do with them transitioning out. But I told my colleague, she's like, well, I don't know about talking, you know, I don't know if we're really benefiting them. I said, yeah, we are. We're trying to help them mentally to let them know that they are still veterans and try to carry themselves, even though they're not in a good situation right now.
Yeah, let's not talk about anything about those cases, but I do want to talk about what the Humvee program, what does it stand for, and what are you doing with that? I mean, before the show, you kind of briefly spoke about it, and it, you know, if anybody knows about the jail system, it's always about racial division, but you've created a program that actually eliminates that. And it's kind of similar to, and a lot of civilians don't understand this, but when you're in the military, you don't see race at all. I grew up in Compton, California, where there was a divide between blacks and Hispanics. You know, there was no, you know, it was constantly like jailhouse BS going on, you know, but in the military, you just don't see that, and people don't get how does that work. But what are you doing with the Humvee unit or that Humvee?
Yeah,
what is it doing?
That's a good question. So the Humvee stands for Housing Unit for Military Veterans. Remember the old Humvee, which we have in the military? Yeah, and so they dress in camouflage fatigues. Well, not fatigues, but camouflage the uniforms like for jail, because mostly you see oranges and blues. Yeah. They have the camouflage. They have their own unit. The model was based out of San Diego. San Diego was doing this originally, and then Orange County just recently started this like a little bit over a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago. And Well, actually, a little bit longer than that. I'm getting mixed up with the COVID stuff. That's why, because we haven't been able to go.
A year, bro. We lost a year.
Yeah, we lost a year. That went by really quick. So one of the strengths I really like about the Humvee is that, you know, in jail, in California specifically, when you go to jail, everything's about race. You know, you pretty much you got
everywhere, not just California. Every jail cell.
Well, California is very unique because you know, you have the whites, you have the Hispanics and the Mexicans all housed together, and then in the other units they would call it blacks, Asians, and others. So there's a huge separation, a huge division among cultures, and there's a lot of politics because of gang activity. Because the gangs run the jails, they run the prisons, they run everything. But with the Humvee unit, it's really unique because you have every culture in there together. So you have black, white, Asian, you have everybody in there. They're all mixed together. Is there politics? Yeah, but they're minimal, because if they see any politics going on, you're out, because there's just way too many veterans in there that are really trying to get it together. They won't allow that. That unit is being watched very tightly because they want to see veterans succeed, you know? And but it's good. And you're right, it goes back to what Dr. Will said, like, you know, we don't see the race. We don't see that when we're serving together, you know, when we're side by side and, you know, you're getting deployed and familiar territories that you're in. Like the brother and sisterhood is very strong. So it's really good to see that. And I even think that the sheriffs and the staff were super impressed with that too.
Yeah. You know, it's, you know, even though, like, you do see, I've seen a lot of stories where there's a lot of people who only got used to seeing a certain race, right? And then when they join the military, it's like is a culture shock for them, but they got adjusted to the new culture, which is the different races. And that's what makes it very unique in the military. And I hope that whoever's watching this, if you're in the court system, you better learn from this.
You know what? I'll tell you a quick story. You know, when I was a drill, I had a student come to me and he's like, "Sir, the colored boy is doing this." And I said, "Whoa, you know, brand new to basic training, right? First week." And I'm like, what the hell you just say? You know, drill instructor talk, right? And I don't know what the hell he's doing back there, man. But I remember I told him, you know what? That's not how we speak in the military. We don't do that, you know, in a more drill instructor voice. And bunked him with the same colored boy that he called him, right? And now they send me pictures. They're always together, man. That kid came back when he was graduating. He said, "You know, sir, the only thing I knew was KKK because my family's all KKK." And I was like, "Whoa!" And I mean, it made sense because he was from Alabama, like small little town. Nobody else but whites lived there. So the only culture they knew was that. And now he, you know, it's like a reform. And I think it's because of the fact that we're put into such high pressure to worry about surviving versus worrying about what the hell somebody looks like.
Yeah.
And I think that's where the problem is with right now with the tempo in our culture that's going on. Where we just don't see it, and it's very difficult for a lot of people to understand. But I think what you're doing right now is definitely doing a big impact when it comes to that, especially in the jail system, where that's an implemented culture. That's a culture that's been going on for years. I mean, you can date back to the 50s. These gangs that have been controlling by race, you know, in the jail cells. That it's something you're fighting even without even knowing you're doing it. You know, you're trying to just help out veterans and created this awesome unit, but you've also been combating something that's totally a bigger deal than what it is. So wow, kudos for that, man.
We've had some really good success stories too. You know, the numbers are low, which overall, you know, that population. But you're right. I mean, you go back to the 50s. I mean, this culture has been strong like that forever. The way that they run things, it's always been like that. But there's been some really good success stories. So to me, it's been worth it.
Yeah. So that's, you know, cool. It's Mental Health Month. You know, what coping mechanisms did you use? Because I mean, I like I said, I've had encounters with the law. Luckily, it wasn't like, to go into county for whatever extended period of time you spent there. But what coping mechanisms did you use to overcome that? To get yourself out of that dark hole that I called it last week.
Well, you guys, you're probably gonna be
I'm
surprised.
putting pressure, man.
You're gonna be surprised with this one. So, obviously, when I was younger, going to college, when I was going to college, I did a lot of, I took a lot of the English literature classes and stuff like that. A lot of writing, but one of the, for some reason, I always had a tendency just to write off and write words. So I was always into poetry. I just always liked poetry. So whether it was dark, whether it was positive, or how I was feeling, that was huge for me. So I started doing that a lot because like even when you go to the VA, remember how they have like the gardening, or they have a lot of different, they have some areas that can help you focus a little bit better, some coping mechanisms. And poetry's always been my thing. I got a lot of stuff that I wrote, and some of it is really deep and dark, and some of it is like super positive, and some of it has to do with transition. And it's good because I think it shows my empathetic side, instead of always, because I used to be super serious, and just always angry. I was always angry and frustrated. And so poetry's been powerful for me.
What's funny is you say you watched last week's show, and I specifically spoke about writing. I have my stack of notepads that I just everywhere by my bed, and to me it's just putting it on paper to get it off my mind, because now it's on paper, so I don't have to, I don't know.
Well, there's a practice called through the mindfulness, right? There's a practice called the CRAP method that I've learned a long time ago. You transfer everything, those negative thoughts, right, into paper. Yeah. And you just kind of release that tension or that negative self-talk or whatever is happening in your mind. So there's a CRAP method going on. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's something with spiritual psychology where, because a lot of people are scared to write things down, right? Because now it's in paper and they can possibly use it against you somehow or whatever. There is one way for you listeners that are out there that are thinking that, well, I don't want to write down my negative thoughts. Write them down, burn them, and then they're gone. But writing helps. That's just my thought. But so writing, you got into writing poetry. I won't ask you to read this one.
Yeah, I'd have to look this up. I don't know so much stuff. I don't even know a lot by heart, but I got some stuff put away. And you know what? A lot of people don't know that because I don't really express that. Like you guys asked me, so obviously I'm going to tell you, and obviously I feel comfortable because you are both veterans. But I really, because it's me. It's for me. It's for me. It's what I like. I don't mind sharing it, but it's just I love it. That's what makes me feel good.
Yeah. So I want to kind of switch the conversation a little bit because I know you work for a nonprofit, working because it is Mental Health Month as far as families, right? So what's some of the services that you guys provide for military families?
Okay, so I also I work for Strong Families, Strong Children. It's an innovative program out of Santa Ana, and I say innovative because it's being recognized nationally. And the reason why is because some of the services that we provide. So what it is we have this umbrella, and it's a 5 agency. So we're the lead agency, Strong Families, Strong Children. So you have 5 agencies that are all together that will help a family if needed. One of them is Human Options. Human Options will deal with any type of domestic violence, legal with domestic violence, things like that. If they'll also help with some of the adult counseling if there's DV involved. We have Children, Family, and Futures. So they constantly focus on all of our data and all of our metrics, so we could see what's helping we call them participants. We try not to do the clients. It's a little bit different for us. So we call them participants in the families, and they constantly evaluate our data, and we review it every 2 weeks to see what's good, what's not good, where the referrals going, what are they requesting. We also work with Families Forward. So Families Forward will do the housing component. So they'll be able to do like some of the stabilization in housing and work with other housing areas. And then we have Child Guidance Center, which is also Strong Family, Strong Children, which is the lead agency. So Child Guidance is very powerful because that's what counsels the children. So we focus a lot, Dr. Will, we focus a lot on the focus that comes out of UCLA, PCIT, Parent-Child Interaction Therapy. That program, Child Guidance, has been around for a long time. Strong Families has been around for 6 years. So we have a bunch of components into this as far as the counseling, so they could get adult counseling, family counseling, counseling for the children. We deal with housing. If there's, we also use Veterans Legal Institute for our legal side. So as a peer navigator, when I take over a family, I have to be creative because usually Veterans Legal Institute will just work if there's a veteran involved. But let's say there's a family that we have and the veteran is not involved. We have to be super creative in the services that we provide to them. So obviously, if the spouse and the children are there, they're not going to have access to the HUD VASH or things of that nature because that veteran has to be in the picture. So a lot of those services that we have is we put our heads together. We talk about our families, and I'm working with, I'm a peer navigator. So I utilize the clinicians that I have. Obviously, these people went to school, Dr. Will went to a lot of school to get that doctor in his name. You know what I mean? So as a peer navigator, I'm pretty much an expert in resources, but I have to be careful because when I'm also talking to families, even though I feel I have a good rapport, I have to be careful because I'm also a peer navigator. I have to use my clinicians. I have to use the people that have this education to be able to guide them in the right way, to be able to prepare them for whatever plan or case management that we have, because I don't want to open up something that I can't, close.
Yeah, right.
So that's why it's really important that we use every component of helping these families. And this program is continuing to be supported by the county. So we're on continuum of care and MHSA grants that are providing the funding for us. And then obviously we continue to work with donors and people that we're working with because we're having really good success with this program.
That's pretty awesome. I know, was it 2 years ago in 2021, because we locked down 2019. It was 2019, 2018 when I called you because I came across a family member that needed help, So I was actually happy because I didn't know that you were working in the nonprofit as far as that niche, right? And so I made that referral. But I used to get a lot, and when I came across you, and I was like, okay, now I know what you do, because that's another thing too. Like, yes, you have helping veterans, but what about the families? Like, there's some things that they need help with as well, because even though as a spouse, you're supporting, the vet, the service member, and even coming out of the military is like, there's a lot of hard transition to as well for the family. So it's good to know that that's something that you guys do. And it's very unique.
Yeah. So. And our huge emphasis really goes on the families and keep in mind, like, when you guys were deployed, I don't know your full background and your story, but when you come back, I mean, you want to be good parents when you come back, one of the reasons why I got this job is because when I first went to the military, I was deployed, and when I went through the interview, they liked my interview because my daughter's a leukemia survivor. She got leukemia at the age of 3. Wow. And I was deployed. So I can't even tell you what I went through, like going over there and, doing the things I was doing. And then, having to deal with a daughter that had ALL, acute lymphoid leukemia. Mm-hmm. And so that was an education too. Remember, we talked about the education. That was my education and learning the post and pre-deployment and the impact of the family, the wife, the spouse, the children, the family overall, And so that's why this is super important for us to make sure that the kids and the spouses and obviously the veteran are good, or they get the help they need, because everybody is going through that process when somebody deployed, or whether even if you didn't get deployed. I had a Marine that I work with that did 22 years. He's never been deployed, but being in the Marines for 22 years, that's a pretty strict culture there. He's not going to be like every normal civilian. There's going to be a lot of things he's going to have to adjust to.
Right. It's a different culture. Yeah.
Yeah. So we do take care of the family as if it's the veteran. So that spouse and children get the same type of respect and support that we give to our veterans.
Right, definitely. Yeah, it's amazing. So, guys, just let you know. So, in case,
OCstrongfamilies.org.
yep,
That's correct.
yep, you come across any families like that that need help, definitely, definitely reach out to Cory. So, as far as this, I know you talking about volunteer work. What's some of the volunteer work that you're doing? Because I know last time we talked, man, you were telling me like I'm doing this and this, and I was like, I can't.
Yeah.
So,
I did, and I think both of you can appreciate this because as much as I want to help veterans, you have to be careful that it doesn't, for me, it doesn't become an addiction, because what happens is I don't self-care, and if I'm not taking care of myself, how effective am I going to be long-term to help veterans? And so I just had to clean up a little bit, and I think the COVID really gave me an opportunity to make some changes. So obviously I do the Humvee, which I volunteer once every 7 to 10 days or whenever they call us, whenever we're needed. So typically I'll show up like on a Thursday and come in and see whoever I need to see. So that's a volunteer position too. And then now with the American Legion service officer for Newport Beach, that has turned into a full-time volunteer position. But it is critical in our county because of the amount of money. I worked with an individual. I don't know if you know him. His name is Chase Wickersham. Very popular guy in the community. He's been around for years. I took over for him, and he groomed me. Yeah.
He used to work for Goodwill, right? He was.
Yeah, he did. At one point, he's good. He's really good at fundraising. Yeah, he's really good at fundraising. So he mentored me and really taught me how to do the fundraising. And so just within the last year and a half, we've raised probably close to $160,000. Wow. And all that money goes into what's called the VEAF account, which is for Veterans Emergency Assistance. And the post cannot touch that money. It goes directly to veterans. So I have an application process I have them fill out. I screen them because, sometimes I have to decline applications, and then a lot of times we're able to help. And I'm probably averaging between $8,000 and $10,000 a month that we're utilizing to help vets. Wow. And then so I'm also supporting a lot of nonprofits on the other side. We have a different account. So that's why and hopefully we can connect after this so I can support 10 Hut too, because I just think that you guys are doing amazing work. I watched the videos all day today before I got on, by the way. So, I just wanted to get a feel for how it was. Yeah. But American Legion right now is, along with Tierney Center that collaborates with the Tustin American Legion, are providing a lot of financial assistance right now. So we do motel vouchers, auto repair, childcare, things of that nature. We're helping a lot of the senior veterans. We're working with the student veterans, which is really big. So we coordinate with the Region 8 meeting and all the people that represent the schools. And sometimes, Voc Rehab might have made a mistake, or post 9/11 benefits didn't come through the way they were supposed to, or, we have a lot of student veterans that are struggling with housing. So we really try to help them. So, that volunteer position takes a lot. And then I'm still working with the steering committee in Orange County. I'm trying to get on as a member at large, but I used to chair the housing. But, I had to take a step back with that.
I want to ask you from your perspective, what is as far as housing, is there a lack of housing for veterans using VASH? Because I know in Los Angeles, when we had that, focusing on LA affordable housing, I mean, it was difficult to find properties, and like how it is for you guys out there in Orange County.
That's the difficult part. The difficult part is not getting the HUD-VASH voucher. That's not the difficult part. You can get the HUD-VASH voucher if you qualify, or there can be some flexibility. But the problem is finding the property. Finding the property is the landlord going to be cool with you being a veteran. Are they going to be, what type of veteran do they want for the area that you want to live in? The amount of rent. Orange County is very expensive. LA is expensive, but Orange County is really expensive.
Yeah. You know what? I think LA's got to be when it comes to lower income housing, as far as price. Like what you're going to get in LA versus in Orange County, you might get a little better in Orange County.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why when I hear a veteran, well, where do you want to live? Oh, I'd like to live in Mission Viejo, Rancho Santa Margarita. And I'm like,
I want to go to Newport Beach by the beach and just
yeah,
stay there.
I've had that happen
You can
before.
make it happen, right? You can make it happen. Right? You can
Yeah,
make it
you
happen.
can actually. Jose and I one time, Jose and I, we actually were helping this one veteran, him and his son, and we was able to get him a place in Playa Vista.
Oh,
And I was like,
wow.
damn, dude. Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, Playa Vista. I was
I
like,
think
bro,
I might know who that.
I'm
I know
jelly.
who that
Like,
veteran is too.
Yeah, right. I mean, geez,
Yeah,
really, bro.
but you know what? It's improving. We're getting a lot of funding. We're getting a lot of funding. But you know, you guys would probably know this too. You'll understand this is we're trying to go for longevity though.
Yeah,
we're trying to go for long term. We're not trying to do a quick fix here, and that's where the housing, you know, where it's improving. We have a lot of major players coming in. We got some new people coming in, some new organizations, a lot of funding that came in, especially during COVID. You know, the thing is veterans, it's just they need to get access to these resources. There's a lot of resources out there, but if you don't know they exist, that's the difficult problem. And that's why a show like 10 HUD is important, because you're putting people on here that are going to be able to get that information to them. You know, knowledge is power, you know, and there is a lot of resources out there. So Orange County is getting better. When I first started getting into this industry, I think we used to have what's called a by name list, and it shows how many homeless veterans are. And it was over 1,000. Over 1,000 homeless that they have. The last I checked, we're under 200 now. So that's been identified. So a huge improvement over the last few years. We obviously want to get it to zero. I don't know if we'll ever get it to zero, but we want to stay consistent. And that's why I work in the Humvee, because I don't want nobody coming off the streets, you know, coming from the jail. We make sure that they get released in the daytime now, and we want to try to get them access and linkage to housing. Keep in mind that housing for the VA has changed too. Remember, you had to have an honorable discharge. You had to, you know, but now if you're getting disability compensation, you can have even an OTH discharge. You could still get access to housing now, even with the OTH. You just have to have a service connection disability. So those are little things that, you know, because some people are like, oh, I have an OTH. I don't feel like I'm a veteran. I don't identify as a veteran. You know, there's a stigma that goes with that. And so it's important for them to connect with people like us to educate and say, no, you're a veteran. Okay.
Yeah.
You still have benefits.
You know what we're always looking for is, and if you have any, please let us know, is organizations that help veterans with bad conduct discharge. Because what a lot of people don't understand is that a lot of the reasons that veterans are getting booted out are sometimes because of the disabilities that they have, right? They're getting the bad conduct discharge because they're acting out because they're dealing with PTSD and they don't know how to control it. They didn't get the proper medical attention, and then they do something, you know, illegal or wrong, and end up with a bad conduct discharge, you know? And the Veterans Legal Institute does a great job at trying to get those upgraded if there is a mental issue that's going on, or a disability that's going on that caused it. But you know, we're always looking for organizations that can help out those bad conduct discharge, that could help with housing, you know, because I mean, I know HUD-VASH. Helps out with veterans that are with the OTH and above now. But we can still get private money from different organizations that might be able to help out a veteran that's struggling, you know, with.
Well, last that I heard, 1736, I heard is who got funding. So if you look at 1736, I think they're located in Garden Grove. Obviously, it has to be Orange County. I could look up other resources depending on the county, but I primarily work Orange County, and then I utilize people in other counties. But 1736 just got funding for bad conduct discharge and OTA. So they can help with stabilization, motel vouchers, or we can coordinate with them. And you're right, it's super important that, you know, Dr. Will, that brings up a good point. When I've educated a few groups that I've spoken to, and I said, don't be so critical on somebody's discharge because you don't know the background there, you know? And I told him the story really quick about an Army Ranger that I worked with, and he had 3 combat tours, 2 in Iraq and 1 in Afghanistan. And I'm talking heavy combat stuff. should have never went to his second and third deployment. I mean, he had a lot of issues going on, and he got into and he pissed off the wrong leadership and got in trouble, and he ended up getting a bad conduct. But the guy put in a lot of work.
Yeah,
he put in a lot of work, and we were able to get his discharge upgraded in about 14 months. Wow. And we never thought we would, because a bad conduct is very difficult, but it's not impossible. And, he's super self-sufficient now. He went to his counseling, he got it together. He learned some healthier coping mechanisms. Yeah. And then what really changed him is he had a baby, and that really changed him.
Yeah.
No, that really changed him. Having a child for him was just, it was mind altering for him.
Yeah. That's good,
Yeah, I heard stories like that too. Sorry, hold on. Well, I heard stories like that too when I was in the Wounded Transition Unit, Schofield Barracks. There was this one Army Ranger too as well that he was gonna get like discharged for something that he didn't want to get his team. He didn't follow orders because his team was that was gonna get hurt. So they wanted to discharge him with like dishonorable discharge and everything like that. And it's some shit like that. The leadership just want to fucking say, oh, I'm on higher command. I mean, you didn't listen to me, so I'm gonna fucking, strip your ranks. But it's important to have organizations that can actually understand the situation and really upgrade your definitely the discharge. So.
Yeah. Well, look at the Legion. With the amount of money that we're working with, Dr. Will, you've seen the restaurant there, and the type of money that we can generate there. We used to just work with honorable discharges, and then I was able to talk to a lot of the leadership and say, hey, we need to open it up more. We need to review case by case, because we don't know the background. We don't we don't know what's going on with them, and they really need help here. So just keep in mind that we have some people that have came in and put some real work in, and we need to be there for them. Okay, and maybe we can try to get them an honorable discharge or be self-sufficient in whatever way is healthy for them. So we were able to open that up. So like you said, if you need some help with bad conduct, contact me, and then I can work with them, and we can see what we can do to help them so they're not forgotten.
Yeah, absolutely.
I work for an I'm not going to name the organization, but I work for a nonprofit that used to help out with employment, vocational rehabilitation, right? And I had a bad conduct discharge individual, and he's like, man, I can't get out of this hole. Nobody wants to hire me. I can't even work at 7-Eleven because, whatever the circumstance, I did, he showed me his DD-214, and I mean, he's got medals galore, so I know that he's been places in his states, what places were you deployed to or remote. And he's just going through a bad time. And he's like, man, if I can't get a job right now, I'm telling you right now, I'm going to rob that liquor store and I'll go right back to jail. I just got out of jail, and I'll go right back in because at least I can feed myself and house myself,
Yeah.
And
survival mode.
It's survival mode. And it's not because they want to, it's because you're pushing them into that direction, So for anybody that's hearing this right now, don't judge a veteran or any person based on whatever you see, what they've done. You don't know their circumstance,
right.
But you got to really look at what the person is going through and try to help him. He became an electrician for a construction company, after some work, but people were like, no, we don't need to help him out, and I decided to, and got in a little bit of trouble for approving his classes, but sometimes I guess you just got to do what you got to do.
Absolutely. Corey, I want to say thank you, man. I'm excited that you join us, because I know you're kicking ass out there in Orange County. So
you are,
and I'm really grateful. And again, for those that may or may not know, but Corey helped me a lot in the past. So when I was in my dark times. So definitely, and I appreciate it. Anything else that you want to say to the vets out there, or even military families that that might need help?
I just think I hear this saying all the time. It's not our fault that we have PTSD, but if you don't get help for it, is our fault. We have to take some responsibility for it out there. There's people out there that are ready to help you, you know. So I appreciate you guys letting me be on here. If you guys need anything, you can always reach out. I just seen Sarge on there. He put a message. I'm gonna try to collaborate with him, and maybe we could try to bring LA and Orange County a little bit closer, especially by that border area right there, so we could do some things together. So collaboration is key, you know. And I'm glad that I'm here with both you gentlemen. You guys keep doing the good work, and I'm going to try to, you know, get more people to really take a look at this. And I think that you guys do some amazing work. So hit me up after this, and we can see about, you know, getting more sponsorship on the side from the American Legion.
Awesome. Yeah, I appreciate it, man.
I think Pedro's got a question for you before we
yeah.
Yeah, I was able to ask him too. So what? Okay, so every question I ask for vets, or even civilians, we actually ask civilian. But what is your favorite MRE?
Oh, I like Chili Mac. Chili Mac was my favorite.
I got you next time I see you, bro.
Yeah.
I got you.
Beef stew for me, man.
I
don't like Chili Mac.
Next time I see you, I got to give you this one.
The worst one was the veggie omelet.
Oh, yeah. I don't like that one.
I think they cut that off in 2008. Yeah,
because it was bad.
I got a chicken pesto too, bro.
Oh, that one's not bad. There's just something about Chili Mac, though. The Chili Mac will always hit the spot.
Chili Mac is a bomb, especially with a bunch of the Tabasco little bottle they give you.
Have full though.
That's a good one. MRE, I love it.
Yeah, cool. All right, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. We got an announcement before we dismiss this whole show. But Cory, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thanks, gentlemen.
I'll put you in the live for a little while.
Don't leave, Cory. Don't leave.
Gotcha.
All right, go ahead, Will.
All right, so Ten Hill's got some good news, right? We're gonna be presented or a donation by New Vision Bank out in Huntington Beach on Memorial Day, the 31st. They're going to be doing a lot of stuff for veterans. So if you're in the area on Memorial Day, they're going to be giving out goodie bags and all kinds of stuff for veterans. Make sure you go out there. New Vision in Huntington Beach is on Edinger, right off the 405 and Beach. All right.
Yeah, I'll post this definitely either tonight or tomorrow. Yeah, so you guys can be aware.
We got to get that flyer out. But yes, 10 HUD is being recognized. Thank God. And people are getting to watch this. Make sure that you're sending the subscribes. Tell people, hey, go watch this video. Check them out. You know what they got. They got a lot of resources. Tell them what we're doing. But tell them to subscribe. They have to subscribe.
Yeah. So one of the things that Jose and I discussed too is what we're looking to do is that all the ones that we interviewed, we're going to be making quick videos so vets can access real quick on our playlist to know, okay, which organization they need to go to depending what they need. So we want to make it simplified, you know, so the more views we have, the more subscribers, the more we can give back to vets and then keep bringing in other nonprofits to spotlight them and everything. So so thank you guys, appreciate it. And remember, just subscribe to our channel, www.10hutshow.org. All right, until next time is going to be the paranormal event. And salud.
All
All right.